All right, here we go in three. Wait, I gotta start. All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Sports Medicine Broadcast, a podcast to promote and improve your practice as an athletic trainer. Today, John Seco is joined by Kalia Cross and Melanie Battaglia. They're both registered dietitians that just worked or are working for the Memorial Hermann Sports Medicine Institute, or Sports Medicine Ironman Institute. And so they just worked on the fellowship and the sports specification. So I am the host, Jeremy Jackson. You can join the conversation at sportsmedicinebroadcast.com/Ramadan. If you're listening to it later, if you're listening to it live, then you already know how to get a hold of us or to ask your questions in the comments. So it's kind of an interesting time with us talking about Ramadan and tips for the athletic trainer, treating athletes during that season, because right now I don't know if anywhere in the country there's athletics going on, and most likely by the end of the Ramadan season it will still be going on. Like, everything will still be shut down by that time, but I'm not sure. I don't know for sure, but
yeah, even if things are shut down, there's going to be Ramadan next year. There are other religions that practice fasting as well, so I think it's still going to be topical for us as we go forward. This will be a good time for us, even with athletics not going on, to still educate ourselves as to how we can help our athletes that are practice fasting during their religious times.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we went ahead and I didn't want to say, oh no, we're not going to do it because there's no athletics going on, because a lot of the podcasts will find themselves later. So, Kalia, why don't you real quick just give us an intro, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then Melanie will do the same.
Sure. So as Jeremy introduced me, I'm Kalia Cross. I just completed an 8-month fellowship at Memorial Hermann Ironman Sports Medicine Institute down in Houston. I did that fellowship through Gatorade, so I was one of 10 Gatorade SNPs who were selected and was placed down in Houston. I just recently moved back to Michigan, which is where I am originally from. I have my bachelor's in exercise science, a master's in kinesiology and in public health, and I also worked for about 3 years as an assistant to Caroline Mandel, who is the director for sports nutrition at the University of Michigan, before I moved down to Houston. So, and I was a former student athlete myself. I played soccer. So yeah.
Gotcha. Where did you play soccer?
In high school I played at Bishop Foley, and for college I played at Illinois State University for 4 years.
Gotcha. So did Bishop Foley ever play Bloomfield?
We didn't play Bloomfield, but we played teams like Marion. We played, I'm not sure who else is in Bloomfield, but we definitely played Marion.
Okay.
So, yep.
Just wondering if John just happened to be on the sidelines for one of your games.
I don't know.
I think John, you were like what, 10 years at Bloomfield?
Yeah, I'm weirdly finishing my 10th year at Bloomfield, I think. Who knows? Who even knows what day it is? I don't know.
Right. You can only tell by the Zoom meetings.
Right.
All right, so Melanie, introduce yourself.
I am Melanie, and I'm currently doing a year-long residency with the Ironman Sports Medicine Institute. And previously I was from Chicago suburbs and worked a little bit in clinical. And I was also a student athlete. I was a swimmer at St. Louis University. And then I've gotten into like the endurance side of like triathlons. And so have an interest in working with endurance athletes. But at with Memorial Hermann, I'm working a lot with high school, or I was, but we still are working with high school athletes, and then University of St. Thomas, and then also in the physical therapy clinics, working with like individualized athletes, like endurance athletes. So I'm doing the residency through like August, September time. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you said you're a swimmer at St. Louis University. And then what made you want to do a dietitian, or was that the plan all along?
Yeah, swimming made me really interested in nutrition. I thought it was pretty fascinating how you can apply nutrition to my own performance and then would see results in the pool. So that's really what started my interest in nutrition, in sports nutrition.
Got it. And then Kyla, is it similar? Were you planning on doing nutrition throughout school, or?
Oh no. I kind of bounced around a lot of what I wanted to do. For a long time, I wanted to be a physical therapist or do something like physician assistant, whatever, anything medical like that. But it wasn't until I actually went to the University of Michigan for my first master's program when I actually was connected with Caroline Mandel through the job through that job I had at that time, which was in the physical medicine and rehab department at Michigan. I was actually working as an exercise specialist, and my boss there was like, hey, you talk about food and nutrition and your interests and your sports, so have you met this person? I was like, what are you talking about? Is that even a thing? So met her, started working with her, and that kind of opened my eyes to that field. And it was absolutely the best thing because it combined my sports, it combined everything I was interested in. And then come to find out I needed more school, so that's why I went back for a second master's. So
All right, so both of you college athletes, did any of y'all ever go through like dieting things like, okay, well, I can't eat this because I have to, you know, fit a certain type or anything like that? And then especially, did you ever try intermittent fasting while you were playing sports?
With swimming, it was just like making sure I'm getting a lot of food in because we would typically have like 2 practices a day. So burning a ton of energy. So I wish I knew what I knew now when I was a high school athlete because there's so much to the timing and getting in enough food. But I really liked eating healthy and cooking. I didn't follow any specific diet pattern or I don't think I even knew what intermittent fasting was at that time, like in high school. And then in college, we had access to a sports dietitian. So I thought it was fun going to cooking demos and hearing her talks and learning more about how to apply nutrition, but it wasn't any like specific diet that I followed.
yeah, I unfortunately didn't have that opportunity to work with a sports dietitian either in high school or in college. We didn't have that access. So I never really did any type of diet or anything like that. I was always the kid who was eating constantly all the time. And I think it's because I was doing so much. I played 2 different sports. I played soccer and basketball in high school. I sometimes did track. I, was competing with my club team. So I was always doing so much that I wasn't really focused on looking a certain way, more so just eating because I was so hungry all the time. And then in college, we didn't, again, really have any of those resources. And I myself also didn't know about intermittent fasting at that time or really any type of diet. So similarly in college, just ate based on if, you're hungry, you just played or just had practice, you're going to eat. It definitely wasn't like it is now with all of the pressure from social media, from other teammates, or whatever the outside source may be. So.
Gotcha. And then, have either of you worked with athletes now in your professional career that have been performing during Ramadan? Right, Kyla, you're nodding your head. Go ahead.
Or go ahead, Melanie.
Oh, I was gonna say I haven't in professional career. I've just been able to like talk to an athlete friend who's who's practiced Ramadan his whole life and played sports. But Kyla might have more insight on working with an athlete professionally.
Yeah, definitely. So at the University of Michigan, the sport that had most of those athletes who participated in Ramadan were on track and field, which of course are still going through April, May, maybe even into June with NCs. So we definitely had a few that we had to work with and kind of alter their schedule based on, again, if they were practicing, if they were getting ready to go to a meet. So that's the exposure I've had, was working with some of those athletes at the University of Michigan.
Gotcha. All right, John, why don't you kind of work through some of the talking points, some of the stuff you have here, and then we'll just discuss that as we go.
So last year when we put together our podcast for this, my district had came to me and asked me to put together a paper for our students, more specifically for our coaching staff. We had a lot of questions from our coaches as to how to best reach the subject of Ramadan. And what are the considerations that they need to take with their athletes? So I dove into it, did a lot of research as to the reasons behind it, why it's important to fast during Ramadan. So the coaches had a cultural understanding of it. Mm-hmm. And then what are the most important things for the coaches to be considerate of too? Three of the things that we came up with, obviously diet is one of them. It's a very large portion of the holiday of Ramadan is diet and fasting. The second one was hydration, and that was typically used for us as the athletic trainers. How do we go about hydrating our athletes when they can't actually drink or have anything in their mouth, whether it's Gatorade chews or salt or anything like that? We were trying to figure out how we can help our athletes hydrate for the day and hydrate for their sport practices, competitions, things like that. And then how do we help them with their sleeping habits? Because the sleep is going to be affected in two ways.